Hello and welcome back to my channel. I was listening to the Triple Takeover toycast today and they were talking about the heaven and hell of third-party Transformers toys. I don't normally have anything negative to say about toys I don't particularly care for, but I thought I could probably make a video on the stinkiest Transformers toy to ever come out of the Power of the Primes line. In my opinion, the Power of the Primes was the storm before the calm. Yes, I know the saying's meant to be the other way round, but I think it's applicable to our situation here. The calm being the start of a fantastic trilogy starting with Siege. Back in 2014, Combiner Wars gave us an entire toy line full of repaints. We started off strong with a wave of aerial bots and dragstrip, and soon, with the second wave, we were able to have complete versions of Superion and Menasor. I feel like the toy line rapidly came to a halt in terms of its momentum, and that when fans realized we were just buying the same toy over and over again. Titan's Return was a godsend compared to Combiner Wars, where we did get quite a few new molds and they were really neat in general. Power of the Primes felt like a step back in direction, closer to Combiner Wars where a combining gimmick was forced into every single toy outside Legends class and Leader class. Yep, this is a long intro, but bear with me. I was 15 when Power of the Primes came out, so I would be 10 or 11 when Reveal the Shield Jazz came out, and back then, even though Jazz was my favourite character from the first Michael Bay Transformers, getting that version of Jazz was never really my priority. So when Power of the Primes Jazz was revealed, I was super excited. Now's my time to finally get a G1 Jazz, and then we got this. Power of the Prime Jazz suffers from him having the combiner gimmick crammed into the engineering, and with such a large combiner port inside his chest, there's not too much space left for engineering a more complex transformation that would at least give him cleaner arms. Take Legacy Skids for example, who arguably has a very similar transformation and robot mode design. However, Skids doesn't have the obstacle of having that combiner port, allowing him to have his arms fold into the underside of the car, so he doesn't have to have panels on his arms like Jazz does here. The head is so small because it has to fit into the chest cavity. One thing I do like is that they sort of colour separated the chest flap, and also there's a 4 on him. Studio Series has a number 14 in that spot, for what I think is for copyright reasons. The head sculpt itself isn't the best either. The sculpt on the mouth is quite hard to make out. It sort of looks like he's got animated Jazz's face. Power of the Primes did do something neat with having Cybertronian glyphs or Ancient Autobot printed on their toys. So Seaspray had Alana written in his inner forearm as a reference to that G1 episode, whereas Jazz had MAGA? Now this is quoted from the TF Wiki, that when Hasbro was questioned about this, they claimed it was from some freelance artist and that political message was not intended. This MAGA has been removed as a running change in later releases. Articulation wise, he's pretty standard, with a ball jointed head. Shoulders go up on the transformation hinge, you can rotate the shoulders 360 degrees, the forearms are on ball joints, and there's nothing in the wrists. There is a waist swivel, his hips are on ball joints, swivel at the thighs, and there's a bend at the knee. Again, nothing too spectacular. We were just 1 year away from fantastic articulation being introduced to mainline Transformers toys. Size-wise, he scales quite nicely as a deluxe bot. Here he is next to his wave mate, Swoop, and there he is next to the G1 coloured Bayverse Jazz, who has an incredible alt mode. Transformation is super simple because, like I mentioned, there's not much space to do fancy tricks with a combiner port in the way. It honestly feels like Jazz here is a leftover toy that's meant to come out of the last Combiner Wars wave with all the other Autobots. But I do like this bit, so you unhinge the entire upper chest piece from the combiner peg area. It's not even a tight connection, so you could easily shift it up. Push his head into the cavity. This is the part I love. I love the folding flap. I wish they included something like that in other Jazzes as well. The legs are straight up Combiner Wars, with the added step of folding his toes up. Open up his legs and shift them upwards. To be honest, at the time of Combiner Wars, I thought it was such a smart idea to reduce the usage of sliders as they do not hold up very well over time. But after every single toy had this step, it got very old very quickly. But if it ain't broke, right? hinge his torso back up and tab the backpack into the back of the legs, and collapse his forearms into place. And there we have a sort of Cybertronian Jazz that very loosely is based on the Porsche design. It does not shout Jazz to me at all, but I can appreciate the gorgeous paintwork they've done here on the stripes. The number 4 carries over to the sides of the vehicle, and I like the prominent 5mm ports for your weapons. I wish more toys had this nowadays. Just don't be shy and include them onto the SS86 toys as well, please and thank you. Size comparison wise, he's not too small for a Deluxe, or is it just that our toys have shrunken over the years? Here he is next to Bayverse Jazz, and here he is next to Legacy Skids. His hand-foot gun, now a hand-foot Titan Master baby seat, can be pegged onto the top of his alt mode, and he's meant to come with a silver pistol as well, which I may have lost over the years. As we mentioned before, Power of the Primes crammed combining features into the Deluxes and Voyagers. Let's just take a look at that before we finish. First, we turn him into the leg. It's super simple from car mode, so you untab the entire front of the car, and while it's untabbed, it's best for you to flip out the combiner peg now. The front of the car constantly falls off the hinge, and that makes him super not fun to play with. Anyways, there's these two tabs at the bottom of the alt mode connected to the arms. Tab them into the slot on the legs and peg in the hand-foot gun. He's not bad as a leg, and I'll say it now, he doesn't look bad as an arm either. It's just not something I'd expect Jazz to do. To transform him into the arms, you just transform his leg back into robot mode, so you open his legs up and combiner wars them downwards. So that's it. That's my video on the stinkiest Jazz they've ever made. I think the second stinkiest Jazz would probably be the Fall of Cybertron Jazz, but he's sitting comfortably behind this one in second place. This toy feels like it's meant to be a pre-tool of the Omnibot Overdrive, but it never really went through. I didn't personally get this toy. It was my brothers who went to Universal Studios Singapore, got him at a marked up price, then abandoned him a week later, I think. So what do you think of Power of the Prime Jazz? Let me know in the comments below, but that's it for now. Please check out my other videos. I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed. Thanks for watching, stay safe and goodbye.